That was the intro to Five Nights at Freddy's 2, and something I like about this intro is that it sets up the game very well, and it even presents itself as a bigger game than the first Five Nights at Freddy's game. It brought new characters, it starred a bigger location, and it included more lore than the first game had. Salutations, my children. My name is Ethan Foxtail, and in this video I will be talking about why Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a perfect sequel. I lied. This game isn't a sequel. I bamboozled you. I'm like those clickbait YouTube channels. I think everybody at this point knows this game is actually a prequel, but there was a time when the game released where people actually thought this was a sequel and not a prequel, and you got Matt Pat over here yelling at 5-year-old children about the fact that it actually takes place before the first game, because if you look at the paycheck, but nobody paid attention, I guess, because there was this one girl I was friends with back then, and she would argue that, oh well, it's actually a sequel, and I was like, no, that doesn't make any sense, and I was trying to explain it to her, but she didn't want to listen. But you know what, that just goes to show how much people that were fans of the game really cared about it. It wasn't like the first game, you know, because the first game only had only a spoonful of content, you know. It only had technically 5 animatronics, and it had the funny 420 mode, and that was it. But Five Nights at Freddy's 2,
holy fuck, Stewie, I'm shitting.
This game had way more than the first game did. It had secret death screens, it had mini games, it had more people saying, oh look, this animatronic is real, but they actually weren't real because they were all hoaxes, but people ate this shit up. And you know, before we get into the entire game, we gotta start somewhere, so we're gonna start with the gameplay. This game introduces more mechanics than the first game did. You know, in the first game, in the first game, you just look at your camera, you check the hallways, make sure no silly animatronics get to you and kill you and murder you in cold blood. But in this game, there are no doors. What are you gonna do when they come for you? So what do? Well, Scott Cawthon, the genius, the man himself, decided to create a new mechanic to help fend off those pesky plumbers. I mean, pesky animatronics. It was a Freddy mask, and you could wear it as long as you want, except, you know, you can't, because he also introduced a mechanic that would make it so you can't just, you know, cheat and wear the mask the whole night and then be unaffected, because he made the music box. Now, the music box shakes things up because now, not only are you trying to defend yourself against, you know, a million fucking animatronics, now you gotta defend yourself against an animatronic that, if you don't wind the music box, they're coming after you. And if you thought that was bad enough, which it is, you also got Foxy and Mangle, the best boys. They both come after you, and they do not get affected by the mask. That's what the mask is. You can only defend yourself with your dinky little flashlight. But oh wait, there's more. Balloon Boy, worst fucking character ever, takes your AA batteries from your fucking flashlight, and then you can't use it. You can't use it. You only brought 1 pair. You didn't bring 2. You didn't bring 3 even. You only got 1 pair. Balloon Boy takes them. And once you got no flashlight, you can't defend yourself against Foxy. So now you're just dead. You don't wind the music box. You're dead. You don't put your mask on. You're fucking dead. You're dead. A lot of people hate these mechanics, but I like them because it's a good challenge. I mean, the first game, once you understand the game, you know, it becomes fucking easy. But Five Nights at Freddy's 2, this is a game where you got it, like, it all depends on good strategy and even luck sometimes. Like, you gotta be quick as fuck in this game. And I understand if that's not for everybody, I get it. But for me, I think this is one of the reasons why I love Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Aside from, like, the whole lore aspects of the game, I love Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And you know, no gameplay is complete without, you know, the jump scares. Now, this may shock a few of you a little bit in the audience watching.
Bring back the inflation videos, bro.
But I actually like the jump scares in this game. I know not everyone is going to agree with me with that statement, and I know not a lot of people are going to agree with this statement, but I believe the jump scares in this game still hold up today. The sound design, the way they jump at you, it's so good, and I think it's even better than the first game. They literally lunge at you. I don't care what the fuck you say, Chica is the scariest motherfucker in this game, and probably, like, the scariest in all the Five Nights at Freddy's game. Withered Chica is so disturbing to look at. The way, like, her eye sockets are just way too big, and she has little eyes, and she has, like, a gaping jaw, and no arms, but she can still fuck you up. Like, if I saw that standing in front of me, I would shit my own ass, because, Jesus Christ, that is the scariest thing Scott has probably ever made. Now, I didn't really talk about this last video because I guess I kind of forgot to talk about it, but let's talk about the animatronics. You got Toy Freddy, who is probably my least favorite animatronic. Like, he doesn't really do much, he's just kind of there. Still a cool design, just not my favorite. Toy Bonnie, which, I mean, how could you not like this fella? He's got a funny face and he's adorable. You got Toy Chica, which is, you know, a lot of people's fan favorite. I think you can guess why. You got Mangle. They're pretty neat. I like their spider mechanic. They crawl on the ceiling. Pretty cool design, might I add. And then you got the Puppet, which is a disturbing design. I'll give it that. They got lanky arms and legs. They got the permanent smiling expression. I hate it. Thank you, Scott, for making this. I fucking hate it. And then you got the worst motherfucker. You got Balloon Bitch, Balloon Boy, Balloon Turd, whatever you want to call him. Fucking hate his guts. Worst character. And it's not even because of his mechanic, neither. Like, he has a punchable face. I'm just gonna say that he has a punchable face. And then you got the good ones. You got the good boys. You got Withered Freddy. He got that big old belly, and he's got that jolly smile. Even withered, he still looks pretty cool. Withered Bonnie. He's also got a bit of a belly because he really let himself go. You know, I mean, he let himself go so much he lost his fucking face, which, honestly, I think is a really cool design. I love this design so much. Yeah, I don't, there's not really much more I can say. I already talked about, she's just fucking scary, man. Withered Foxy, good design, love it. I love how he jumps at the screen and bites your fucking face off. One of my top favorite Foxies. And then you got Golden Freddy, who is just a big fucking head. Sometimes he just felt like it. I like him. But now that we're done with the mechanics and the jump scares, let's get down to the juicy lore. Now, like I said, this game has way more lore than the first game did. I mean, the first game, it only has newspapers for the lore, and that's literally it. Like, there's nothing else to indicate lore. But the second game, I love how it represents its lore. It does it with the phone calls, with phone guy, you know, eventually saying, oh yeah, we had a yellow suit in the back and someone used it, and then the place starts getting closed down, and then they have like one more day to schedule a birthday. It's so well put together. And then you got the death mini games, where they show you bits and pieces of what happened, presumably in the previous location that came before Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And I love these. They and you know, at the time, not a lot of people really knew what the minigames meant. Like, yeah, you got the minigame where the child is outside of a Freddy restaurant and gets murdered by the one and only purple guy. And it didn't really flat out explain the lore. Like, they do it, like, not so in your face. Like, you kind of have to, like, piece it together and figure out what happened. And the mini games don't even happen in order, and they're rare enough to where you won't really experience all of them in a single gaming session. Like, you have to die quite a bit to actually play all of them. So basically, a child is murdered outside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, becomes the puppet, and then the puppet gives the animatronics life. And then you got Foxy about to perform to some children, and then he stumbles upon them all dead. And then the puppet, I guess, tries getting Freddy to go after the purple guy, because I guess the puppet can't do anything because they're a puppet. So Freddy's like, oh, I gotta save the kids. And then purple guy's like, no. I mean, it's pretty easy to piece it together now. Like, looking back at these, like, with the knowledge we have today, it's really easy to piece the pieces together. But back then, a lot of people didn't really know how to interpret it, and then you had to rely on people like MatPat to piece it together, and then watch like 20-minute long videos of him explaining why purple guy is actually the phone guy. Guess what? He's not. And if there's one thing I want to say about the lore, like back when there was only 3 games and the third game was going to be the last one, I liked it. It was simpler. It was a simpler story. You know, once you piece it all together and you really thought about it, it was a well put together story. You just know I really liked the lore back in these old games. Why is Five Nights at Freddy's 2 a perfect sequel? I think it's a perfect sequel because of how well Scott implemented the lore, the new gimmicks, the atmosphere, and at its core, the second game is a step up from the first game and basically did what the first game did, but expanded upon it, you know, made a bigger location, bigger cast, more mechanics. Like, it was just more. And this was also my introduction to the series. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 was where I started getting into it. I remember watching the Markiplier animated Five Nights at Freddy's videos, and I thought they were hilarious, and I was like, wow, this game, it's really neat. And then I would check out the game theories. I think the first Five Nights at Freddy's video I watched was 5 AM at Freddy's 2, which is a classic Pymations video. I love Pymations. And I'm really glad because Five Nights at Freddy's has really shaped like who I am today. It's inspired me in stuff like art and other sorts of things. I don't know where I would be without Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Oh yeah, I love Foxy. He's like my favorite character, which is pretty evident by my fursona. And no, I don't need therapy, thank you. I'm fine. Check out my other videos, I guess, if you want. I don't really care. Okay, bye.